Hey everybody, welcome to episode 7 of the Weekly Intake. Here to make sure you start your Friday with the splash of sodium, and you know I am already. I was in a really good mood, and the show's like, no, this is a salty salt cast. How about your audio doesn't work, and you just get really pissed off about it, and that's what happened. I am Kick Tripod. Welcome to the Weekly Intake.
And I'm Trevor May, and I was gonna ask Kick to play some Overwatch after this, but I'm not anymore. So, not being in a good spot. I hope you can hear me. But if you can't, I'm just gonna continue talking anyways. I'm here. I'm back from Burbank, where the Overwatch League Summit, Players Summit was. I was invited for a specific reason, which we will get into in a moment. And yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about today, one of which is that summit. I'm gonna go over some stuff, probably not give you as much insight as a lot of you may want, but I can give you some insight. We're gonna talk about net neutrality, because we know net neutrality is a thing and it's bad or it's good and no one really knows what the hell it is.
Net neutrality is bad. You heard it here first from Trevor May.
And we're gonna talk all about I don't know. John and I had a conversation about it on Twitter this week. We thought we'd touch on it here. There's a few people here that may be like, okay, yeah, but what's the argument like against net neutrality? So we might be able to clear this stuff up. There's still a bunch of question marks, but we want to get into that a little bit. And then in the spirit of filling, I'm gonna have John give you some good tips and tricks, because a lot of you guys may have streams, may want to start streaming, may want to do a podcast, may want to do something, YouTube content, whatever it is. And don't judge him by how the beginning of this podcast started. He has a lot. He has a lot of knowledge about doing the audio setups, making sure everything is professional sounding and good, in even for not a huge amount of money. So I'm gonna let him just kind of get into that a little bit more. And I have a little bit of knowledge, but as in terms of setting it all up, making sure it works, I have almost zero. So let's start off with the Overwatch League Summit. Players Summit. Trust me, guys, I've checked Reddit. Okay. I've seen the Discords with all the people losing their minds about new rules and Blizzard just not caring about any. I can assure you, you can relax a little bit about a lot of this stuff. I can't tell you exactly what. I'm going to let them take. There was some things that I'm just not going to go into who was there talking, what was talked about or anything. They want that to come out in due course, which is fine. So I'm going to stick to why I was there. I can talk about that and what I talked about, because it wasn't anything specific to the league. It's more of a pep talk / perspective type thing, meaning a lot of the experiences these guys having moving away from home, being 18 years old. A lot of them didn't go to college, haven't done anything higher education, have never lived away from home. I've just played video games in their room for the last 5 years, you know what I mean? And now they're supposed to go plan a stage 4 times or twice a week for like 6 months. That's that in its essence. And then like how to handle yourself on the internet and streaming and what, put in perspective, like who's watching you, the things you say and how they affect people, because we had some people there that have maybe been a little bit controversial as of late on their streams, and just about accountability. So I just thought I'd like kind of just give you a rundown of my what I tried to do. It was really cool. And
did you give everyone a PMA t-shirt?
Just
everybody.
They probably all would have got mad at me. I've heard from 2 or 3 Danish sources that Taimu invented PMA, when it's a huge meme about when Jeff Kaplan said it in a video. But anyways, so I wanted to avoid that. I didn't want to coin it myself and have them be like, ha ha ha, cool guy, who are you? Like, instead I tried to touch on things, my story, why I'm involved in esports and things, as being like, one of the best at what I did, and That's me being cocky. Yes, I play in the MLB, so I'm good at baseball, guys. Uh, and just kind of how I grew into that, and how it wasn't all hunky dory right away, and life sucked when I was 18, and you have to work your way through and learn and grow as a person, and some ways to do that. And then how to handle like being on the stage and sucking sometimes, and like what people are going to say to you, and how you're going to feel about yourself, and how you're going to question yourself, and how there's there's going to be things where you're really down, and then there's going to be days where you just dominate and you're fragging and you feel like you're the greatest ever played, and you're not always going to be like that. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with the ups and downs and feeling like you're letting down hundreds of thousands of people?
Unless you're
Um,
Flower.
well, even Flower's gonna get
He will,
dominated.
yeah, he will.
And that's what I tried to touch on. Talked about some really interesting stuff about having a process mindset. It's very easy to be very especially like in Overwatch, very results oriented. We all care about a SR, right? Which is literally the result of the game, not how we played or how if we're getting better or not. Because one thing, there's no benefit to us improving because we're not going anywhere. I'm talking to you, John, and I'm looking at myself also.
That is absolute bullshit. I am going to be a pro. I'm going to be the first 29-year-old pro. I need 2 years to get going and then be literally twice the age of these other guys.
Unfortunately, there's been a couple 30-year-olds already playing professional Overwatch. So sorry.
Are there an Overwatch League though?
No, not in the Overwatch League. But they, Internet Hulk was 30.
Yep.
Playing on NBS.
Yeah, he was.
There's been a couple other ones I can't name right now, but anyway. So just talked about like you guys it is your job to be good at this game. And it seems like kind of counterproductive that you wouldn't worry about results at all times, but when you're in a slump, and you're going to be in a slump, everyone in this room is going to suck for some extended period of time probably, and they're not going to know how to get out, and all they're going to think to do is just play a lot. There's going to be times where you have to stop playing and then reset, because you're not tilting is no longer like a 30-minute ordeal. It's a week-long ordeal, or 2-week or a month long, where you're tilted every time you play the game because you're not getting better. You're getting beat in ways that you're not supposed to get beat. And what do you do when that happens? So talked about a lot of that stuff. And they responded. Like I was really excited because there were so many guys that I was like making eye contact with that were really staring at me and like really taking it in. I was actually asked a really good question. Like, how do you handle, because a lot of us stream, like we're going to stream in our off time. Like, how do you handle getting a one trick? Like, how do you handle getting a situation that's instantly negative? Like there's where you starting negative. What do you do there then? Like, what would you recommend? Like, how would you deal with that? I'm like, dude,
play PUBG.
The common strategies are someone asks you like about another team, like how good do you think they are? Do what I do. Tell everyone how good you are and how that when you play them, you're going to dominate. Like that doesn't say how bad they are. That says how good you are. Always deflect how good you are. Like that's a common strategy. So I made them know that. But I said when someone's being negative, just remember that probably someone in your game on either team is super pumped to be on your team, because it's not every day that you're gonna get to play with a professional player of the game you're playing. You know what I mean? Or like the guy's freaking out about playing with Tim. He's a professional. He doesn't play pro in competitive sense, but he does play Overwatch professionally. Like it is his job to play that game. Right. So to be in someone who a lot of people know and be in the same game is really, really cool for a lot of people who aren't like malicious and trying to throw. So they're just focused on the people who love it and are, hey man, big fan, because it's going to happen a lot. Focus on that and just be like, it's the same thing. If I were to sign a kid's ball, or if I was like, oh man, I'm really tired, I want to go in, I know that it is more important that they have that experience, because that might be something they never have again, like meeting a pro player at a game, than the fact that I'm not very happy and I just don't, because that could be negative and they could carry that for the rest of their life. It means it's just perspective. So we talked a lot about that. Jake asked that really good question. I was able to hit him with that. And there was another question that asked like about the slumping. So I gave some strategies. Learn about yourself as quickly as humanly possible. What is happening when you're terrible? What's happening when you're good? Not only technically, but mentally. Where's your head at? Like if when you play really bad, are you just really tired? Is that a huge factor? Do you need to adjust your routine accordingly and go from there and just double down on what you do well and have a few things, a checklist you can check off when things are going poorly to make sure that that's not what's happening. And you're only going to do it by playing, but if you think in that way, you'll find stuff faster and you'll stay out of slumps longer. So, and they were like, whoa, like the reactions I got were pretty awesome. A lot of guys came up to me after and shook my hand, met a lot of the players, just a lot of kids. There was a couple guys talked to me that were so incredibly thankful just to be there. I don't want to call them out, but I guess they wouldn't really mind, but I'll just avoid doing that. Guys who have been really, really successful at other games and like have a really big following, and like they're so like they don't like it, you can tell it still hasn't dawned on him. Like he's like, wow, I'm like, just know that someone else is behind you. Like there's someone who's 17 who turns 18 in 2 months or something who wants to be in the Overwatch League in season 2, and just always think it's not gonna be my spot he's taking. And that's what it is. Now that you're now at the top of the mountain and then everyone's climbing up trying to kind of push you off. And that's how it's going to be forever. So don't expect that's ever going to end. You're never going to be safe. And if you want to compete and be a real competitor and make that your job, those are things you got to remember. They were like, I remember I looked down and I don't remember who it was, but someone was like, whoa, I didn't think about it that way. I was like, yeah, they're coming. And then you know, the people who are really like super uber competitive are like, hell yeah, they are. Bring them on. It's just gonna make me better. So it was a really cool experience for me. I was really encouraged by everything else that was spoke about. And to be honest, the whole point of the thing, and this isn't a secret, is that the players, they had all the players in one place, and then they had all the staff that are working on the league in one place. So there could be discourse when they could literally figure out where each other were, what needs to happen, what rules need to be, whatever. Like, that's the point. It's called a summit. That's what summits are.
Yeah.
So, they were just talking to each other. The whole thing, they were talking. A lot of people were talking, asking questions. It was super, super cool. Which was, I really encouraged me. It was a really positive event. And I thought got me really fired up for the season because I think they're doing a lot of really good stuff the right way.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, congratulations, first of all. And I've seen nothing but great things on Twitter about it. I saw one Overwatch League player, I think, call you, what was it, Uncle Trev? Is that what they said? Thanks, Uncle Trev.
Someone called me Uncle Trev. Like, to be honest, who was Raucus was like so pumped. IDDQD was very gracious and like fired up about it. I talked to Jake quite a bit. Jake's so as high energy as you think he is, and it's funny. Sure4 too, very very interested and active.
Cool.
It was cool to see a lot of players like really just active in the process. A lot of guys stepping up and kind of doing that for their teams too, which is important.
Awesome.
It's important when you are in a league because there's people running the league and then there's the players, and it's important that there's voices on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really what I'm not, again, they haven't posted like what they talked about or like what the talks were about and stuff. I'm gonna let them do that, but in terms of me being there and just kind of getting a feeling for the whole thing, it was really great.
Nice.
Really great.
Cool, man. Well, hey, can't wait to hear more about the summit. We're gonna sit down a bit later today and do an interview for Overwatch League Daily, and that'll be pretty fun.
Yeah, along the same lines, I might get maybe even a little bit more detailed for that. Don't forget to go subscribe to the Overwatch Daily podcast, guys. It's is it Overwatch Daily Show?
Overwatch League Daily.
Overwatch League Daily
OWL Daily Show on Twitter. Otherwise, Overwatch League Daily on.
All the links for everything is on that Twitter, on the pinned tweet, I believe, right?
Yep.
So yeah, go to the Twitter and check that stuff out. We're gonna plug that again later, but there's the first plug.
Cool. There it is. First of many.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about net neutrality here.
Woo! Net neutrality, yeah, bro.
We might not be able to talk about it for much longer. So, so we had an interesting discussion, and I'll let you kick it off on kind of what we've been talking about and where you want to take it.
Okay, guys, net neutrality is the FCC has put together rules in 2015 when the first time when like Reddit got really on this, right? And then it just became a whirlwind of things. They put into some regulatory rules saying you ISPs cannot put in any sort of framework for payment in exchange for not being throttled, basically. So they can't give preferential treatment to anybody who provides a service or information over the internet. They classify, in order to do that, they classified it. I believe there are telecommunications. It's like there's
Title
like
I.
Article 1, Article 2, Title 1, Title 2. And they reclassified it as the latter, so that these rules could be enforced, I believe.
It's classified as a utility. ISP companies are classified as utilities,
which is under Title 2.
Which is, I think that means that they're a Title I company. Okay, Title II is what, like AT&T and Verizon.
Yeah, so ISPs are utilities. So internet is under the same rules as water. Like water, people who like utility companies that are there has to be, when water is distributed, it can't be done discriminatorily and it can't be done in favoritism of anybody else. So like one area doesn't get more water just because the utility company, that's illegal.
I have no idea how they regulate. I just know that they're regulated
that is
with
the
same amount of oversight as and where those regulations come from.
Yes.
Which I think it's really interesting. And honestly, people may or may not believe it, but in 2015 was actually a pretty controversial thing. Because this rule happened in 2015. It was one of the last things that, not one of the last things, but it was one of the later things that the Obama administration did. And when you say net neutrality, I can honestly say this: there is nobody who isn't in an ISP who is against net neutrality. And even then, ISPs, if there was ways that they couldn't make more money off of not being able to do that things, they're probably all pro net neutrality too. There's nobody who's against the internet being a neutral source, free of access for everybody. I just don't think that there's lawful, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know of anyone who's anti that, but I read a really interesting article by Ben Thompson, and it was pro net neutrality, anti Article 2. And basically the idea of it is yes, I believe that net neutrality should be a thing, and there might need to be government oversight to make that happen. But when we look at how carriers have regulated themselves in the past, it actually might not be in the consumer's best interest. And I didn't really have a strong opinion like, yeah, that's it. That's what I believe. But it was one of the first really good arguments for repealing the 2015 net neutrality bill. And it was one that made me think more, and it was very level-headed. It wasn't like businesses shouldn't be regulated by the government and blah, blah, blah. And Stefan's like, hey, let's think about this, though. What examples do we have of near monopolized industries still regulating themselves? And he talked about what T-Mobile's done over the last 2 years to basically be totally revived from trying to fire sell themselves to AT&T, basically, to, being about to surpass Sprint, growing larger than any other carrier right now. And, he's like, in the end, and there is discernible proof there, we have more data and cheaper plans now than we did 2 years ago. And it wasn't because we got more carrier regulations or anything like that. It was that carriers saw a way to compete. T-Mobile did, and then everybody else started doing it because we can't keep losing people and hemorrhaging our business to these smaller carriers. And I thought it was really interesting. I'm still like, this is different, right? I have two choices of internet service provider in Colorado, where I'm at. One's Comcast and one is CenturyLink. Comcast, I can get up to 250 megabits per second. CenturyLink, I can get up to 6.
Exactly. There's no competition. The thing is, though, all those carriers will work in most every place in the United States. If one of them works, all of them will work. Some of them might work a little better, right? But they'll be there to an extent. That is not the case. These are very regionalized monopolies. That is the difference. So you give people who have regional monopolies the ability to charge whatever the hell they want in terms of they can compete if they really want to compete, but they can't. Yes, but they can't. So like it doesn't. So basically, in that article too, the thing only problem I had was the entire premise of the argument was, look at all these examples that people who are pro net neutrality give you, and they're not exactly net neutrality. Okay, well, that's not necessarily an argument either. So in order to say this is the thing that gets me, yes, they're like there's certain regulations that are regulating. And everyone's being regulated, and then in 15 there was some What are the regulations? Tell me specifically in bullet points what exactly specifically is being regulated, and tell me why you want those regulations taken away and why that's better for consumer of ISPs. And not a single person who is against net neutrality has made that argument in any coherent way. They just say regulations are bad, regulations are bad, regulations are bad. And just the same way that, when rich people have more money, that money trickles down to the people. That is not necessarily true. It might be in a couple situations, but universally, it usually isn't based on data. The same way that if you give that, okay, so are the regulations killing ISPs? No. What are the regulations? Well, they're being treated by utilities, so they can't throttle and they can't make more money. They don't have a new model. They can't use this model. Okay, how is that model good for consumers? And they're making the case, well, it'll drive prices down. But again, there's no regional competition, so it won't drive prices down. There's one person that has better service by a landslide, and they can charge whatever the hell they want is not good. Now, if there were 5 of them, all with the same relative speeds that you could choose from, that would be true, but it's not. It's just not. So that's why net neutrality is important right now until that changes.
At the same time, we have net neutrality right now, right? And when we're saying net neutrality, we're not necessarily saying a neutral and open free internet. What we're saying is the 2015 bill that established ISPs as a Title I company. That's almost always what we're saying. Because again, right, net neutrality is kind of like saying, we're not going down this road, but it's like saying pro-life or pro-choice, right? You're taking two really good sounding terms and you're using that to umbrella the entire idea. And net neutrality is when it's being discussed, they're discussing the bill. They're not saying that,
the actual bill,
the internet stops being neutral, or things like that. So I think that's an important thing. The one thing is, though, we have had net neutrality for the last 2 years, and it hasn't helped create new competition at all. In fact, Google Fiber has not been implemented in more communities, and some would argue because of that. In Denver, it was voted no, and Comcast lobbied millions of dollars to get to make it so that Google didn't insert their fiber internet stuff here. And so there's some really interesting points here that I think in my opinion, there's no world in which I would want to repeal the net neutrality rules without something else in place that still protects
without having
those
a good
things.
reason.
Yeah, it's
same thing. Like we're a lot of things we're doing right now, just in general, we're trying to get rid of just to get rid of it. Like I'm tired of that argument. Stop trying to get rid of stuff just to get rid of it. Give me this is actually what is hurting the competition. This is exactly what keeping your prices A leads to B, which leads to C, and this is better for you. Like that argument. Why can't you give me that argument? It's because there is no argument for this. You're just doing it because you want to do it. Like
Yeah,
that's
or
what it
because
feels
a
like.
Democratic president did it and not your Republican president, and so
That's
now it's bad.
kind of, it's just what it feels like. And
It
then
does feel
based
like
on
it.
the arguments and based on everyone who's for it, that's
Yeah,
what
it
we're like.
shouldn't
It's
be a
thinly veiled.
partisan
Like it
issue.
shouldn't be a partisan issue. And it's not, you're right. It's not about it being neutral or the internet being free, you know, like it's just, it's saying, okay, if you guys don't want to do this, do the things that this is preventing you from doing, then why do you need these regulations moved unless there's something that is literally killing competition, which is the whole thing. They're like, but competition. Okay, how specifically does this either help or hurt competition? And then how does getting rid of it fix that? Like that's literally a coherent argument that is not being made, which is bothering me. But again, do I feel like the sky will fall? No, I don't think everything will explode. I think we'll see subtle changes in things, and it'll happen over time. But again, you don't want to open the floodgates to say, hey, go at it. Companies that all have 1.5 stars on Yelp in customer service, you know,
Literally the worst. Yeah, who are voted the worst company in the world
in
over
terms
and over again.
of listening and helping their customers. I'm sorry, but I don't trust you to take your customers' word for it, because you have, yes, they're, let's call the hard monopoly is 100% of the market. These guys have soft monopolies regionally. Okay, there is a little bit of competition, but it's not anything real, and it's literally like there's like one freaking apartment complex that's just
It's like the Twins saying they have competition because there's a farm league in the area. Like
it's like they're taking our attendance. They get 500 people buying tickets that would have bought at the Twins games if we were the only one in town. Like that kind of thing. Like it's stupid.
Yeah, it's
but
just
until and then until you know real or the technology is there. I don't know the difference between the cell tower use and the licensing for those and like actual internet networks, like hardline internet networks, is so different how those things are managed that it's apples and oranges at this moment. How we get that information. One is literally wireless and mobile, and one is not. So that puts a lot of, that just makes the situations completely different. It does, even though the surface is the same technically. It's just they're not the same. In right now, they're not the same right now. So, which leads me to believe you want something removed to give yourself power to do the thing that was providing, that was supposed to keep you from doing, which is bad. That's how I feel. That's just where it is. And I think that's why a lot of people are up in arms. But once you understand that, that's like I have a coherent reason why I'm like, okay, we should probably keep net neutrality, at least in the interim, until we can, you know, until there's a coherent argument against it, which there isn't right now. It really feels super, super tribal and partisan at the moment. And the guy who's doing it has a very clear, not hidden horse in the race for one side, who now has a government position for God knows why.
Yeah. And I won't say his name just in case he doesn't want to be, but someone in the Twitch chat said, I just feel like this is a step in the wrong direction. My job requires me to communicate with clients often. I can't afford to do messaging, streaming, and gaming packages. I'm just a poor college student. And to his point, right, nobody here wants to pay for their data extra. At the same time, like I think there's a few like fundamental fallacies with that way of thinking. Number one, it assumes that packaged internet with these different package plans are going to cost more than just a one over everything, right? And I think that's the wrong assumption. In fact, there's a lot of info out there that says that it honestly could be at least after the market settles, could be the same or less. Like there's lots of great arguments for that being the case. And I think the second thing is that ISPs will implement that at all. We didn't really see that. There's a couple times where ISPs tried to throttle or cut off certain services, and they were shut down by the FCC. And it said, no, you can't do that, and fined millions of dollars. So there's Just because a company can do something doesn't mean they will. The company wants to make as much money as possible, but in the ISP realm, it's keeping customers. It's almost all, it's signing on a customer. An extra $5 data package means nothing compared to getting your $50 base package, right? And if one company has a $50 base package and the other one has a $60 everything package, and you can't get close to that, like, you're going to see consumers go to the one that's most important. The big exception to that, though, is, again, who are you going to go to? If Comcast calls me up tomorrow and says, I'm charging you an extra $150 a month, my choices are pay the man or no internet, basically. I would rather have no internet than 6 megabits down and 2 up. Right. And so,
which you can do anything you're doing right now. Nobody can. But it always comes down to this for me, man. There are rules put in place that prevent you from doing something, and you want those rules removed. And then when we say that to you, your argument is rules are bad.
Yeah.
Not any reason why those rules are hurting your business that is logical. So what am I supposed to think? There's only it's just a human, as a human being told something. I'm like, that feels dishonest, fishy to me. Why do you want to do that? I just do. What? That's what I'm hearing. That's at least what I'm hearing from the chair at the FCC. That's what I'm hearing from him. Now, and then not only that, Comcast and Verizon are doing like the most, like they're like we're for net neutrality, and then like right when the vote goes out, they remove it.
We will be transparent, and then they remove
24 hours they put up another one, and it's literally like 2 sentences long instead of a whole long thing, and a bunch of stuff's removed, and you're like, why are you doing this right now? It's very, very suspicious. Why is everyone being so suspicious? So we're like, maybe we should just keep these and just not worry about it. Like, that's what most people are.
So this is the last thing I'll say on this, and then I think we'll go on to the next one here. Trevor and I are not experts. This is designed to be an interesting conversation. You should not use the comments that we said here to be like incredibly meaningful for your worldview on net neutrality. You should go and get real information from real sources. We're not here to misinform, and we're doing our best not to misinform. But I will be the first one to say we don't have all the stuff in front of us. We're here to have really interesting, salty discussions and be a good, entertaining show for you. So if you're like, these guys are idiots, you're probably right. So
yeah. So you know, in the essence of, you know, full disclosure, guys, you know, we might have broken
your microphone's like doing a crunkly thing.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. It might have been just Discord not working. But yes,
because of net neutrality, they heard us talking about it.
See, this is what would happen. We actually made this happen, guys.
Oh, there's so many smart people that hate us right now. there's so many. We're just having fun, guys.
But that's our kind of just our conversation on that. We had it on Twitter. We thought we'd bring it in and put it on the record here and just kind of shoot the shit about it. So that's where we are. I mean, you know, if you're feeling really strongly about net neutrality, there's lots of things you can do, petitions you can sign, numbers to call, all kinds of stuff. If you're the other way, then have the conversation with the people. Just have conversations about it, because to be honest, there's a lot of things in our world now that we would go a really long way to be educated on. At least making an effort to learn will translate into a lot of other really good stuff being figured out in the future. So this is a good place to start, because it's something that kind of hits home for a lot of people who play video games, watch a lot of Twitch, stream things, watch Netflix, all that stuff. It does affect you. So
I still get a data cap from Comcast with net neutrality, so I'm still pissed.
Yeah, same.
Still pissed.
I'm still going to drop, you know, an average of 200 frames a day just randomly in the middle of the stream somewhere. It's just gonna happen. So
Yeah.
it's someday, guys, there's just gonna be just freaking fiber everywhere, and it's gonna be
Freaking
great days.
fiber everywhere.
They're gonna invent that thing from Ender's Game where you just everything's instant, all information is just instant. Remember what was that thing called? The Ansible. Did you ever read that book?
No, I don't think
Anyways,
so.
or watch the movie. It's great. Anyways, we'll move on to the third topic. I'll let John take this. He as you can see, guys, in the frame here, and all the stuff he's got in his room, and he uses a Mac also, which is super high tech, guys. So like he knows a lot about podcasting and streaming, setting up a really cool stream. I wanted to give him a little bit of time to kind of touch on some cool stuff because he's been on panels to talk about this exact subject. We haven't had him talk about it here yet. So I would let him touch on it, maybe give it 5-10 minutes, and then we'll touch on a new game really quick at the end, and then call it a day. John?
All right, here we go. All right, kids, gather around. I'm just kidding. So I get this question a lot, and the question is, how do I make my stream better? How do I make my podcast better? And I'm going to try to take it from both angles, streaming and podcasting. But here's what I have to say. First of all, for streaming, in my opinion, the number one way to differentiate yourself on Twitch, besides just being entertaining to watch or good at your game, is audio quality, if I'm being totally honest. Everybody can go to Google and get a good looking, a good looking frame for their webcam, and there's dozens of add-ons and things that you can put on your stream, but people really notice when you sound good. People tell me all the time, be like, "Oh man, you sound like you're on the radio." Like, happens all the time when Trevor and I play Overwatch. They're like, "You guys are you guys on radio? Like, are you guys YouTubers or something?" Because we have good microphones, and that's a big thing. Get a microphone, get a pop filter. This isn't technically just like a pop filter. It's more of a windscreen, but it actually alleviates the pops.
What is that you have there? Do you have a blue?
This is a Heil PR40.
Okay.
I have a Heil PR40 and a RE20. They're both XLR microphones, which means that you need an interface to run them. The big thing, though, is not a lot of people know this, is that there's a lot of ways to run your mic. It's not enough just to have a nice microphone. I actually wrote a long post on the Twitch subreddit called "The Microphone Myth" and why your nice microphone sounds like shit, or something like that.
Nice.
And and it got like a ton of upvotes, and even then it's referenced all the time there. And basically, it's like, just because you have a nice microphone doesn't mean you're going to sound good. In fact, a lot of ways, it means that you're going to sound worse. There's so many people with that Blue Yeti who, are like, wow, I don't really sound very good, because it's 18 inches away from your face and you're in a room with hardwood floors and tall vaulted ceilings and bare walls. You look behind me, you see I've got foam up there. In the back, I've got foam over on the side. I have bass traps in all the corners of the room. And that's a big part of, when you hear me speak, you don't hear like this big echo behind me. A little bit of one still, because at the end of the day, I'm not in a professional studio. So room treatment, I'd say it's better to save $50 and buy a less nice mic and buy some room treatment than it is to buy that $50 more expensive microphone. Then the other thing, I know, Trev, do you use Pod Farm?
I use Pod Farm, third-party software. Anyone who's played with music or made music or anything, something that I had a lot of experience with, so I picked this up really quickly. But there's things called compressors. There's all kinds of effects that you can, you see guys like Tim the Tab Man and Last Tim and I all have the same mic and the same setup. And Pod Farm allows you to like create a reverb robot voice, and like you can create one that sounds like you're in a talking over an intercom. There's all kinds of, things you can add. It's just a bunch of layers of different effects. But the biggest one is the compressor, which in my case boosts the signal, right? So if you think of it as a waveform, and you get to your met peak and then go straight across, right? That's just the raw signal. What a compressor does is when it gets set right when you're below, it can boost something when it's low, and it can compress it when it's high, and it makes you stay within the range of things you want. Actually, to be honest, Gator does the low, compressor does the high. So that way, when you're low, or when the signal's lower, it cuts it off, so you don't hear a bunch of like just air.
You don't hear the room
the
noise.
thing.
Yeah.
So you don't hear anything. So basically, the mic, in essence, is turning on when you speak into it, and then the compressor, when you get to a certain level, it levels it off for you, so it never gets above a point, so that like I can scream and I won't peak my mic and it won't start crinkling on me.
Yeah.
So like that's big one for Tim, right? When he figured that out, I'm sure it changed his stream quite a bit. And same thing, I scream a lot too. I talk very loud, but in the essence, that is a very way. It's just sound treatment. It's digital sound treatment, which does some of the things that like treating your room would do too. So the combination of both, you get something that sounds like John's mic. So like Pod Farm comes with the Line 6X UX2 audio interface. So let me just talk about audio interface really quick. It's just basically, guys, in your computer, you have if you have a laptop, it's built in with its own sound card. In your motherboard, it has its own sound card. So all the sound card does is it is a channel for your computer to capture and then display audio. So as an input and as an output, and some of them are really nice, some of them are really shitty. You can get like a little dongle, right, that goes into into a USB port and then is another sound card. They're very cheap, right? But what an audio interface does, it's a very nice additional outlet for sound, and gives you a range of plugs to use. In this case, me and him have XLR. XLR is very high quality, very low input lag, very high, like just from a hardware standpoint, really sturdy too, which is good. Then they come in like 1/8 inch is like what auxiliary cords are. There's 1/4 inch, which is like a step up from that in quality, and then they have cables and all kinds of stuff. I won't get into that, but
can I add something for a sec about an audio interface? What an audio interface does is it converts your analog signal to a digital signal.
Yeah,
that's what it's doing. Your sound card in your computer, everyone has an 1/8 inch input into their computer. Does the same thing, but when you have a separate audio interface, it's going to do it at a lot higher quality. It's going to have preamps, other circuitry and things. So you don't want to just like, you can go to Amazon and get a XLR to 1/8 inch converter and plug it right into your sound card, and you'll notice it's going to sound like crap. For like 10
it'll
bucks.
work. It's just not going to improve the sound at all.
It's going to be bad. It's just not going to sound good. I run through Scarlett 2i2, which is a really popular one. You're running through the UX2, right? Steinberg makes really great audio interfaces. I'd say for a good one to start, you're going to be looking at $70-$80.
I would say Scarlett, the 2i2, or even the Solo, the one port version of yours is good. That's one I had before. And then there's a whole, like, honestly, the quality of drivers varies. So like, sometimes things are kind of buggy, and the platform that makes the drivers for your audio interface isn't great, which defeats the purpose. So looking up ratings and stuff. But yes, in order to start good, you'd be going anywhere $60-$70, and then anywhere up to like I believe the UX2 is $200. And it's very nice.
It's $130.
And then if you run a double PC setup, then you're running through an actual mixer with like several audio channels where you can run basically 4 different. You can run instruments and do it too if you wanted to, and you record
right
music.
And that's what I do. I run a 2 computer setup, so I run through Logic Pro. The advantage to that is, like, right now we're having with hardware routing versus software routing. Overall, I find it's a bit more consistent. Software routing, especially just on PC, If you watch Trevor's stream, sometimes you'll
Yeah.
know it can be just a little bit of like a headache. It's definitely not worth going out and buying a $1,500 Mac. Like
Yeah.
it's not, there's no world where it's worth that, but it is like, if you have a Mac around for the same amount of money as doing it with software routing, you can do it with hardware routing. And, you know, for me, I can run through dozens of effects, have all sorts of, you know, the same type of control that Trevor has. I'm also able to like record him and myself, like at the same time, and no lag. I can hear everything, and it's a really cool process and a really cool way to do it. Otherwise, Pod Farm is by far my favorite because you don't need any extra software. Otherwise, there are options to like, I use a program called Virtual Audio Cables, and you can get like, you can open up Adobe Audition or Ableton Live 9.
Ableton Live can run it too, and of course, it's just all about learning the ins and outs of like making sure the signals are going through the proper things.
Yeah.
Like Ableton, I would use Ableton if I were recording. Logic is the same thing basically as Ableton. It's just the Mac version. The Mac's like you said, digital tools are better. It just work better, more consistently.
They use Core Audio, and it's just
and Core Audio, and nothing's like, you're never worrying about like if something is switching devices all the time, and the if anything's like blocking something or what. That's just a problem constantly in PC. So like something's on somewhere that is grabbing an audio signal, so it shuts off the one you want, and there's nothing you got to go find it. Like everything uses the same hub in a Mac, so that's why it's good there. But so I could technically record both of us, me and you, if I had the proper equipment, into its own channel, so I can edit it, cut one of us, not just both of us. I can do anything. So it's really cool in that way of things. If you're trying to get very, very intricate in this stuff, but keeping it more on the theme of like with a budget, like if you like this microphone right here is $100 right now. It is the Audio-Technica AT2035. It's like an industry standard. Summit just got one. Like it's not the best one they make, not even close. It's just it's very durable. Like they last for a really long time. They're fairly small. It's XLR. You can go $100 here, you know, $100 on an interface, and you have a really, really nice setup. Honestly, headphones in terms, you can get really nice headphones for $50, like very, very nice ones. Like these are 50 or 60, like these Cloud 2. So they're pretty, you know, you can do all this stuff for like less than a PS4. So if you really wanted to invest, and then of course you can get into like what your software is on your computer and all that stuff, and a lot of that stuff's online. You can literally Google it. Like you can even reference the article that John himself wrote, and go check out some tips and trips. There's literally like forums everywhere where people just go over this stuff.
The biggest thing I tell people is, number one, prepare to be frustrated and not be happy with your setup right away. It's going to be tweaking and stuff like that. Like prepare there to be some growing pains, especially if you don't have like audio experience. That's the first thing. Second thing is, Trevor and I, while we have very similar setups, Trevor runs through something called a condenser microphone, which lets him be a little bit farther away from the mic. I think that's ideal for streaming. I run off of a dynamic microphone, so you'll notice I sound probably a little bit closer than Trevor does. And that's because I'm running a dynamic microphone. The nice thing about a dynamic microphone, especially if you don't have any way to treat your room and you don't have a way to go through the software, is the direction rejection is really great. So you're going to get less room noise there than you are before. Actually, I lied to you. I'm using a PR40, which technically is a condenser microphone, but it has a sound floor. It has a sound floor like a dynamic microphone. Okay. I have an RE20, which is a dynamic microphone. Shure SM58 is like a great starter microphone if you're wanting to go dynamic and get this more close in sound. I think it's a great one. There's also the AT2100, which is like $50, and that's USB, or the AT2005, which is USB and XLR. So you can start out USB and then add an interface, and then later on upgrade your microphone to a $150 one or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's it. The last thing I will say about quality, one of the coolest things I think you can do to make your stream really neat is make your own stream transitions. It's something that I do, and you can do that just by opening up any video editor. And like I have one where like both sides of this thing close, and then my head, my PogChamp head is there, and it spins out, and then you go back to the next one. It's really easy to do, and it's one of like my viewers' favorite things. And it's a great way, I think, when it comes down to being a smaller streamer, finding ways to differentiate yourself in ways like that is the best. Because at the end of the day, what differentiates your stream is how good you are at the game, how great of a personality you are, and then those elements of your stream, your sound quality, your video quality, the cool things that you do. You know, Trevor and I both do a meme cam, which is, you know, just kind of zooming in on your face and looking at it. And, you know, we've got different things there and little things, but that's a great way to kind of differentiate yourself, especially as a smaller streamer, because you're not just going to do it by doing exactly what Tim does or Lass or any of your other favorite streamers.
So
it's getting yourself seen.
Just throwing this out here, you know, in addition to the meme cam, we got a new surprise coming when I get to Seattle. I ordered another additional equipment to add to the full meme cam experience. So I'm pumped about that. I didn't know that you actually did those transitions. So I'm going to need you to teach me how to do it. Thank you. And also, one last thing that's really cool. If you can make music at all, you can do the same thing for your sub sounds. You can literally take memes from your channel, turn them into custom sub sounds, which we are going to do on stream next week. So I'm actually pumped. I'm actually going to do a music production stream where I just show you my desktop. And we're going to look at Ableton, and we're going to try to make a 15 or 10-second clip or of something with some sort of soundbite from me or soundbite from something funny, and then I'm going to make a beat around it, and we're going to see what we can come up with. And what I want is chat to just say what all the dumb shit they can think of, because I was actually thinking about making a new intro video. The problem is I'm learning how to do video editing as I go, which sucks.
Me too.
But I have such great songs that it could make a phase clip, like a phase highlight clip for that would be sick. So anyone who's good at that, just let me know. All right. Anyway, really quickly before we go, we got to go here. John has a big big lunch to go to soon. So really quickly before we go, I want to touch on a new big game. Anyone who, again, we referenced him in this stream or in this podcast way too much, but Lineage II, it's a mobile game. It's MMORPG. You can auto quest. I'm grinding and I'm getting that wow, like, ooh, look, I leveled up. Ooh, look, I leveled up. Ooh, look, and it's feeling really good and fun. It can be pay to win. Technically, you can not pay to win. I understand how it is pay to win because there's like 9,000 different currencies you can buy in the game, but I like it. And it's honestly having a mobile game that, like, when I'm not at my computer and I have something that I can quote unquote take seriously is like an itch I didn't know I wanted to scratch, and now I'm scratching the hell out of it. So and it's free.
I have a question for you because I downloaded it. Do you ever stop auto questing?
Yeah. Like you do. No, you do. There's end game content, there's dungeons. You run dungeons, you don't auto quest dungeons. You can't. So like if you go do auto, it's good to, like, you actually have to move out of stuff, move back into stuff, use your abilities on cooldowns, like actually like time stuff. That's actually, like, you can actually play the game if you want. But the questing, just in the idea of auto questing, literally, like, it's like, go kill these bats. The bats are literally just like 5 of them 1 foot away from you. And you come back, and it's the grindy part. They took the whole, people played Mafia Wars. You do something, nothing actually was happening on the screen, but you had to wait 2 hours, come back, it was done, you're ready, go fight. Like, people love those games for mobile games because you're not able to sit on your phone for long periods of time. You're able to sit on phone for short periods of time. So they added that into the game, which it's pretty ingenious. So like you can technically still be progressing in an MMORPG and not necessarily have to be like fully concentrated on it, which is cool. And some people like grindy stuff. And if you like to go level, you can go level if you want.
Yeah.
It's probably just as fast. You probably use your stuff a little better, to be honest.
I would think so. I think they have to give you some advantage. Yeah.
I think it's fun. I think it's really fun. And if you want to just drop $1,000 on it, guys, you can do that if you want. I'm sure Lass has already done that. When he gets into this stuff, man,
he
wants to win. So it's really, really ingeniously done, and it's fun, and it looks really good, and it's smooth, and you don't need a super strong connection to play.
Nice. And so you can do it on the toilet.
It does the job, and you can do it on the toilet. So I like it better than those PUBG knockoffs. Definitely.
Those are so dumb. They're
it's just hard.
They're just not good. Yeah.
They're not good yet, but I guess actual PUBG is going to actually have a mobile version.
No.
Like the devs of that game are working in China to do it.
If they make me a keyboard and mouse, then I can do it. Even then, it's coming to Xbox, man. And I'm like, I will probably be really good at that game, and it won't even be fun because it's so slow, and you have to be so twitchy.
What if it's the most smooth, buttery, beautiful
They just
game?
said that it's not going for the 1X, that it's not going to 60 frames right away or higher res. Player Unknowns literally just tweeted that like in the last 20 minutes. I saw it scooch past my timeline. So.
Oh, well, I'm gonna tweet and be like, "No way, that's insane!" with like a super surprised look on my face.
Yeah,
didn't see that coming.
Wow. Overpromise, underdeliver. Wow, hey, that never happens with you.
Also, put the test servers on the live servers already, because the game's like night and day better.
Way better.
So much better, isn't it? You're like, oh my god, this is what we've been waiting for. You actually climb over stuff and stuff's smooth, and like the whole like UI looks so much better too. Mm-hmm. And you click a button and it doesn't say the button worked. Like it's great. Anyway, that's our show, guys.
That's it.
Go play Lineage 2. There's if you're on Windawood 04, every clan is one of Tim's clans. Like literally every single person on that is a Tim fan. So if you don't want to be around that, if you don't want to be in Tim's chat like 24/7, don't join that server. And yeah. So remember, I'm Trevor May. Follow me at TrevMay65 on Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. And I am Trevor May on YouTube and here at twitch.television.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. As for me, you can find me everywhere at Kick Tripod, twitch.tv/Kick Tripod, and twitter.com/Kick Tripod. And yeah, is that it? Are we done?
And don't forget to like and subscribe on iTunes, guys. It's the weekly intake. We would really, really appreciate it. If you're into the Overwatch League and the Overwatch League news, John has just launched a new podcast called Overwatch League Daily Show. You can follow them on Twitter at Overwatch League Daily Show, and also Overwatch Daily Show on iTunes and any other podcast provider, including Spotify.
Not Spotify yet. It's tough to get on there. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, soon. So don't forget to go check that out, guys. It's a 10 to 20 minute show every morning that gives you your updates and news, gives you sound bites for people, analysts in the game, in the Overwatch scene that know a lot about it. We have predictions. I mean, yesterday's episode was awesome. It's prediction between the Houston Outlaws and the Dallas Fuel, and really, really great analysis why both teams are going to be good. And it's going to be really fun to watch. Got me all hyped. I love it. So go check it out. It's really quick. It's a nice chewable bite. And
15 to 20 minutes. Yep.
15 20 minutes every morning. It'll be out 5 days a week. You can get the information you need if you weren't able to watch the games, and then go on with your day with that information in your head, which is really important. And don't forget to like and subscribe that too, and also leave a really good review. There's no room for bad reviews. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks guys. We will see you next week, maybe, unless we decide not to do it again. Actually, we will, but it might be my last one unless Trev can record it. I'm getting married in 2 weeks. So yeah, we'll see what that looks like for TWI going forward. All right, bye. All right, guys, bye. Bye.